There is an ancient whisper, passed down through the ages, that says, when the student is truly ready, the master will appear. Perhaps you have felt this readiness, a quiet stirring within, a sense that there is a deeper order to the universe, a hidden pattern waiting to be recognized, a feeling that you are not merely a passenger in this existence, but a participant in a vast, mysterious creation. Today, we explore one of the most profound pillars of this hidden wisdom, the 7 Hermetic Principles. These are not simply rules. They are the very framework of reality itself, derived from the legendary emerald tablets of Hermes Trismegistus, a figure of ancient wisdom, known to some as the Egyptian god of knowledge. Each of these principles is a key, and together, they form a master key, capable of unlocking the doors to the Temple of Mysteries. To understand them is to understand the grammar of the universe. To master them is to become the author of your own reality. This is not a path of power over others, but of profound alignment with the cosmos. It is a journey from confusion to clarity, from reaction to creation. So, let us begin. Prepare yourself to dive deep into this hermetic wisdom and step across the threshold. 1. The principle of mentalism starts at the source, the first and most fundamental of all the laws, the principle of mentalism. It states, in its elegant simplicity, the all is mind, the universe is mental. At first glance, this may seem like an abstract philosophical idea, but within it lies a universe of implication. What does it truly mean to say that everything is mind? That the solid world around us, the stars above, the very air we breathe, is ultimately a mental construct, that our experiences are but reflections of a deeper consciousness. This principle opens the door to all the others. It reveals a secret that can completely transform our way of seeing, of being, of interacting with all that is. When we affirm that the all is mind, we are touching the great mystery, that the universe, all that was, is, and will be, is a manifestation of a universal mind, a single, boundless consciousness, what some traditions have called the dream of God. And you are an intrinsic part of this manifestation. You are not separate from this mind. You are a spark of its infinite awareness. The ancient masters taught that there is an unbreakable connection between our individual mind and this universal mind. When you think, when you create, when you imagine, you are drawing from the same source. You are using the power of the mind that conceived the cosmos. Yet, if this is true, why do we feel so distant? Why does this connection feel obscured? The answer lies in another hermetic maxim. Our human mind, limited by its conditioning, its past, and its individual perceptions, is clouded by the illusion of separateness. We have forgotten the source of our own thoughts. This is not a new idea. The Buddha taught that all that we are is a result of what we have thought. Our mind is everything. And today, modern science begins to tread a path that echoes this ancient truth. Consider the double-slit experiment in quantum physics. When scientists fire a particle, like an electron, at a barrier with 2 slits, something extraordinary happens. If no one observes the particle, it behaves like a wave, passing through both slits simultaneously, creating an interference pattern. It exists as a cloud of potential dots, but the moment a conscious observer is introduced to measure which slit the particle goes through, the electron decides. It behaves like a single, defined particle, choosing one path. The very act of observation of focused attention collapses the wave of possibility into a concrete reality. This is not just a curious fact about electrons. It is a profound lesson about the nature of existence. Reality, at its most fundamental level, is responsive. It is malleable. It awaits the conscious mind to give it form. Imagine your mind as a still, vast ocean. Every thought, every observation, is like a stone cast into the water, creating ripples that expand and interact, shaping the surface, transforming potentiality into manifestation. This is the mental power the Hermetic principle speaks of. You are not just a witness to reality, you are a co-creator. But what happens when this immense creative power is dispersed? We live in an era where our attention has become the most coveted resource. Our mental energy, once a tool for a focused creation, is now fragmented, pulled in 1,000 directions by notifications, social media, and an endless stream of information. These distractions are silent thieves. They weaken our capacity to concentrate, to intend, to create with clarity. Our attention span shortens, our mental blade grows dull. A scattered mind loses its power to transform. It becomes reactive, swept along in a torrent of superficial stimuli, instead of being the calm, deliberate author of its experience. Worse still, these distractions shape our subconscious. Everything we see and hear, even passively, leaves a mark in the silence of our unconscious. This information accumulates, forming beliefs, fears, and patterns of behavior. And as we have seen, the subconscious is a powerful creator of reality. If we are not careful, we allow our beliefs to be programmed by external forces, instead of nurturing the ideas aligned with our true essence. We allow other people's realities to impose upon our own. The philosopher Aldous Huxley observed that distraction would become the most effective means of control. And he was right. A scattered being, with unconsciously shaped beliefs, does not have the power to shape their own reality. So, how do we reclaim this power? The key lies in reclaiming control of the mind. And for that, there is no practice more essential than meditation. Meditation is the path to gathering our scattered attention. It is the practice of focusing the mind, like a lens concentrating sunlight into a single, potent point, until it can ignite a fire. In Hermetic practice, meditation is a return to the 0 point, the space of stillness where nothing and everything coexist. It is the gateway to our creative power. For only in a state of full presence does the mind find the balance to become a true tool for conscious creation. When we sit in silence, focusing on the breath, we are breaking the cycle of distraction. We are teaching the mind to remain present, non-reactive. Every time a thought arises and is consciously set aside, we regain a measure of control. Think of attention as a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Regular meditation increases the mind's capacity to focus, to stabilize, to resist the pull of external chaos. But meditation does more than train the conscious mind. It is also one of the most powerful ways to access and heal the subconscious. Our deepest reality is shaped from this hidden ocean within. If we wish to transform our outer world, we must dive into these depths and dissolve the beliefs, the fears, the traumas that block our creative power. In moments of deep stillness, old emotions and patterns surface, not to torment us, but to be seen, acknowledged, and finally transcended. This process aligns the conscious mind with the subconscious, making it an ally in creating the life we desire. When we purify our subconscious, we eliminate the silent saboteur. We make space for clarity, for focused intention, for a reality that reflects our deepest truth, not our buried fears. The first Hermetic law reveals that we are, each of us, co-creators. Our mind is a temple. What we create within this temple inevitably reflects in the external world. When we allow our attention to be consumed by distraction, we cease to be the masters of this temple and become its servants. But by cultivating attention through meditation and self-inquiry, we can reclaim the reins of creation. We can choose what we want to see flourish in our inner garden, and consequently, in the universe around us. 2. The principle of correspondences. We begin to understand the mind as the source. We can now perceive its reflection everywhere. This brings us to the second principle, the principle of correspondence. It is captured in the ancient, poetic maxim, as above, so below, as within, so without. This is an invitation to look beyond appearances, to perceive that the microcosm and the macrocosm are not separate, but are faces of the same universal reality. The same intelligence that forms the stars, forms the atoms within our bodies. This law suggests that reality, in all its dimensions, is structured fractally. Every fragment of the whole reflects the whole. Consider the cells of your body. Each one carries the entire genetic code that constitutes the complete organism. Each cell is, in a way, a microcosm of the body itself. Now, look outward. The movement of galaxies resembles the movement of electrons orbiting a nucleus. The same mathematical sequences that organize the growth of a flower's petals also shape the vast arms of spiral galaxies. The law of correspondence teaches us to see the universe as a great mirror. If you want to understand the cosmos, first observe yourself. Just as the macrocosm affects the microcosm, your internal state influences the world you experience. Here, we find a powerful key. By transforming what is within, we also transform what is without. From a spiritual perspective, this leads to a deep understanding of unity. As Jesus taught, the kingdom of God is within you. The human mind is both an observer and a creation of the universe. Just as the cosmic whole expresses itself in every atom, you are a reflection of the totality. You are a microcosm, a small universe. And as you expand your awareness, you reach and harmonize with the greater universe. This reveals both the power and the responsibility of caring for your own mind, your thoughts, your emotions. By doing so, you are also caring for what is outside of you. The philosopher Plotinus asserted that the more a man knows himself, the more he knows the universe. Our internal state, our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs acts as a lens that shapes how we perceive the external world. If we are at peace internally, we see the world with peace. If we are in conflict within, the world seems hostile and disharmonious. The barriers we perceive between self and other, between humanity and the cosmos, are illusory. We are part of a greater whole, and what happens inside us is in constant, subtle interaction with what happens outside. Carl Jung explained that the personal unconscious of a human being is a reflection of the collective unconscious, a reservoir of images, ideas, and archetypes that shape how we all experience life. By exploring your own inner universe, you not only discover aspects of yourself, but you also connect with archetypal forces and universal truths that are part of the entire cosmos. The spiritual journey, then, is a journey of return to this universal center that exists within you. This principle also illuminates the relationship between spirit and matter. The second Hermetic law reveals that spirit and matter, though seeming opposites, are in fact reflections of the same essential reality. The material world we experience is a reflection of forces, ideas, and laws that operate on the spiritual plane. Matter is like an expression, a densification, of the subtle energies of the spirit. Spirit is the original plane, the source where all ideas and energies originate. Matter is the image projected by this source. Think of spirit as the source code, and matter as the physical manifestation. Matter only exists because of the presence and movement of this underlying spiritual energy. Therefore, any transformation we wish to see in our material lives begins first on the spiritual plane, on the level of our intentions, our thoughts, and our beliefs. For example, If you seek prosperity, this abundance must first take root in the spirit, through a mind that generates beliefs of self-worth, confidence, and gratitude. By nurturing these spiritual and mental patterns, their reflection in the material world will inevitably manifest, even if gradually. Life is a constant dance between spirit and matter. The goal is not to deny one in favor of the other, but to recognize and harmonize both. True alchemy lies in integrating the spiritual world with material life, recognizing that each aspect of our physical existence has a spiritual root, and that each spiritual insight can be lived and expressed in our daily world. When we cultivate the spirit through self-knowledge, meditation, and introspection, we are simultaneously creating a stronger foundation for a fulfilling, aligned, and meaningful material life. The principle of correspondence reminds us that the duality of spirit and matter is, at its essence, an illusion created by our limited perception. Both are expressions of the same universal truth. Just as light passing through a prism divides into many colors, the one spirit manifests in the countless forms of matter, without ever losing its original, unified essence. 3. The principle of vibration. Let us look closer at this dance between spirit and matter. If everything corresponds, how does energy move between these levels? This brings us to the third principle, the principle of vibration. It declares a fundamental truth: nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Imagine for a moment that everything around you, the solid ground, the air, your own body, even your thoughts, is in constant motion, a perpetual, cosmic pulse of energy. This law is the bridge between the visible and the invisible, the physical and the metaphysical. It reveals that movement is the essence of all creation, and that there is no true solidity in anything we perceive as matter. At its deepest level, everything is energy, and this energy is always in motion. This perception was revolutionary in ancient thought, and it finds a striking corroboration in modern quantum physics. What we perceive as solid matter is actually a dance of subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, electrons in constant, relentless motion. These particles vibrate incessantly at different frequencies. This vibration occurs even in what we call a rest state. It is the foundation of all form. This means that every object, from a grain of sand to a star, has its own specific vibrational signature. Even atoms are composed of smaller particles, like quarks and gluons, which also vibrate constantly. The German physicist Werner Heisenberg introduced the uncertainty principle, showing that it is impossible to simultaneously determine both the position and velocity of a particle with absolute precision. This reveals that on a quantum level, matter does not have a fixed form, but oscillates in waves of possibility. Matter is a temporary state, a momentary condensation of energy in constant vibration and transformation. And if physical matter vibrates, then our thoughts and emotions, which are also forms of energy, must follow the same principle. Neuroscientists study how brain frequencies change according to our mental state. When we are relaxed, our brain emits low-frequency alpha waves. During intense focus or stress, it generates higher-frequency beta waves. Our mental vibration affects not only our body, but the environment around us. Research from institutions like the Hartmouth Institute shows that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body. This field vibrates according to our emotional state. Emotions such as love and appreciation create a harmonious, coherent vibration. Stress and anxiety produce a chaotic, dissonant field. This suggests that by adjusting our internal vibration through meditation, mental focus, or conscious intention, we can alter not only our inner state, but also our interaction with the outer world. The law of vibration is intimately connected to the well-known law of attraction. In many ways, the law of attraction derives from it. Understanding this is the key to consciously shaping our experience. By cultivating high-frequency emotions like love, gratitude, and compassion, we transform our vibrational field and put ourselves in resonance with a more harmonious reality. When we choose elevated thoughts and self-care practices, our personal vibration aligns with the universe's higher, more coherent frequencies. This is the Hermetic principle of self-mastery. By mastering our internal vibrational field, we master our destiny, as within, so without doubt. As we elevate our vibration, our perception expands, our intuition sharpens. Intuition is a way of receiving information beyond rational thought. In elevated vibrational states, the brain emits theta waves, associated with deep relaxation and a level of consciousness that facilitates intuitive insights. Spiritually, the more we raise our frequency, the more we align with the fundamental waves of the universe. Just as a radio must be tuned to receive a specific signal, our mind and spirit must vibrate at a harmonious frequency to capture messages and intuitions from subtler planes. Love is widely recognized as one of the highest frequencies a human can experience. When we feel love, not conditional love or attachment, but universal, unconditional love, ourselves, thoughts, and emotions vibrate in harmony with what many call divine energy. This state is described by mystics as the experience of oneness, where the illusion of separation dissolves. By raising our personal vibration, we contribute to the elevation of the collective consciousness. This concept, related to the morphic field, suggests that each individual's actions, emotions, and intentions impact the vibration of the whole. When we vibrate in peace and compassion, we are literally infusing these qualities into the collective field, influencing those around us and creating a more harmonious atmosphere. Our spiritual mission, then, is to raise our personal vibration. In doing so, we become a light that inspires and awakens others. As Gandhi wisely said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." So, how do we apply this in practice? Through mindful attention to our words and thoughts, each of which carries a vibrational signature. Through daily meditation, which allows us to adjust and stabilize our frequency. Through connecting with nature, which possesses pure, balanced vibrations. Through conscious diet and physical health, recognizing that what we consume directly impacts our energetic state. By cultivating elevated thoughts, pure emotions, and a connection with our higher self, we vibrate in harmony with creation itself. This is the true essence of the spiritual journey, raising our vibration until it resonates with that of the cosmos, allowing us to experience unity, universal love, and connection with the all. 4. The principle of polarity. In this vast, vibrating universe, we begin to see a pattern in the energy, a rhythm of opposites. This leads us to the fourth principle, the principle of polarity. It teaches us everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. This law reveals that everything that exists is interconnected through opposing poles, hot and cold, light and darkness, good and evil, positive and negative. But these opposites are not enemies locked in eternal conflict. They are complementary. They are two forces of the same current, coexisting to create balance, tension, and motion. The law of polarity extends far beyond the physical realm. It operates in our thoughts, our emotions, our daily experiences, Have you noticed how happiness can only be deeply understood after experiencing sadness? How courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. These extremes are two sides of the same emotional coin. In the spiritual journey, the same principle applies. What we call light could not be identified without shadow. Opposites not only coexist, they depend on each other to have meaning. The universe is a dance of complementary forces. Understanding this law is essential to comprehending yourself and the world. It invites us to see reality as a battlefield of extremes, but as a cosmic fabric where each polarity contributes to creation and universal harmony. Instead of choosing sides, we can learn to navigate between them, finding balance within the dual flow. Polarity is expressed in the very essence of existence. Life can only be understood because death exists. The leaves fall in autumn to nourish the soil, allowing life to be reborn in spring. These cycles are a constant reminder of the dance between opposing poles. Even the simplest decisions we make reflect this law. Every choice implies renouncing an alternative. By choosing to wake early to meditate, you forego the comfort of sleep. By opting for a spiritual path, you distance yourself from a life of pure materialism. There is no absolute right or wrong in these choices, only the dynamic balance between polarities that you choose to embody. At the foundation of all matter, the atom itself is a perfect manifestation of polarity. Protons with a positive charge, electrons with a negative charge. Their interaction creates the stability that allows matter to exist. The force of attraction between them is responsible for structuring everything. From the oxygen we breathe to the distant stars, everything in the manifested universe is energy oscillating between two polarities, and the law of vibration determines where on the spectrum this energy falls. One of the most fascinating examples is electromagnetic waves, the foundation of our technology. They are composed of two fields oscillating in opposing poles, the electric field and the magnetic field. It is the polarity between them that allows energy to travel, carrying light, heat, and data. The law of polarity, in harmony with the law of vibration, is a powerful key to the conscious creation of reality. Polarity presents the extremes hot and cold, love and fear. Vibration is the driving force, the continuous movement between these extremes. Take temperature. Hot and cold are not isolated qualities. They are points on the same spectrum. By increasing or decreasing vibration, you can transform cold into heat, and vice versa. This logic applies to any situation. Imagine facing financial difficulty. You can focus on the lack, complaining and vibrating at the frequency of scarcity, the lower part of the spectrum. Or you can deliberately practice gratitude for what you have and visualize prosperity as a present reality. By intentionally adjusting your vibration to the frequency of abundance, you naturally attract opportunities aligned with that pole. As Heraclitus said, struggle is the mother of all things. The dialectic between opposites creates movement, growth, and evolution. There is no progress without opposition. The key to wisdom lies in understanding the necessity of opposites, while simultaneously transcending the idea of separation. Rather than rejecting one pole, we learn to integrate both sides within ourselves. The true alchemy of the soul, the ability to navigate these contrasts. When you face a challenge, instead of focusing solely on the problem, the negative pole, you can choose to see the lesson or opportunity presents the positive pole. This transforms adversity into fertile ground for growth. Every moment offers the opportunity to experience polarity. It is present in our relationships, our emotions, our choices. True transformation occurs when we realize that we are not at the mercy of these opposites, but are co-creators of our reality. By becoming aware that everything has two poles, we can use this as a tool to move toward growth, toward light, toward love. True freedom comes when we understand that we are more than the poles we experience. We are the consciousness behind the polarity, capable of choosing which frequency to align with, and thus shaping our reality. What are you creating in your life today? Are you choosing to feed fear or to cultivate love? The choice is the fulcrum upon which your reality turns. 5. The principle of rhythm in the dance of opposites. We begin to sense a tempo, a universal cadence. This is the fifth principle, the principle of rhythm. It tells us that everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. This is the law of rhythm. Imagine the universe as an eternal dance, a continuous movement from one side to the other, a flow and ebb that never stops. This is rhythm, invisible, yet present in all things. The fifth hermetic principle teaches that everything in the universe follows cycles. There is always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, a rising and a sinking. This is manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of nations, in the life of all things, and finally, in the mental states of a human being. Everything flows in and out, in a pendulum-like motion that governs existence. Just like the waves of the sea, there is a moment of advance and a moment of retreat. What rises will inevitably fall. What is born will one day dissolve. This is the breath of the cosmos itself. The law of rhythm also governs our lives. Notice how our days oscillate between light and darkness, our emotions between joy and sadness, our energy between action and rest. Understanding this law, recognizing that nothing is permanent, neither joy nor pain. Everything is emotion. Everything is temporary. Just like a pendulum, the universe seeks balance amid its oscillations. This is the secret of universal harmony. On the vast stage of the universe, rhythm is the invisible conductor. Galaxies spin in cosmic spirals. Stars are born and die in magnificent explosions. The sun rises and sets in a perfect cycle that sustains all life. The phases of the moon influence the tides, fertility, and even our emotions. The universe breathes. It expands and contracts as if the entire cosmos were a living, pulsing entity. On Earth, the seasons follow one another in perfect harmony. Spring brings life. Summer matures. Autumn harvests. Winter rests. It is the eternal cycle of renewal. And within us, rhythm is just as present. Blood flows in our veins in a constant stream. The heart beats in its unique cadence. Our breath follows the rhythm of life. Nothing escapes the pendulum motion of rhythm. When we look closely, we see that chaos is merely a rhythm we have yet to understand. When we align ourselves with natural cycles, we live in harmony with the universe. And just as the sun always rises after the darkest night, we can trust that after every fall, there will be a rebirth. This is the eternal pulse of creation. In our personal lives, rhythm governs every moment, from childhood to youth to maturity to old age. Each phase has its purpose, its tempo. But rhythm is not only in the major transitions, it is present in our daily lives. Some days we are full of energy, inspired, ready to conquer the world. On others, we feel tired, perspective, needing silence and pause. This movement between highs and lows is natural. It is part of the pendulum that swings incessantly within us. Resisting these oscillations is futile. The attempt to remain in a permanent state of happiness is like trying to stop the flow of a river. The secret lies in observing without attachment. When you are in a moment of ascension, enjoy it. but know that it will pass. When you are in a challenging period, remember that the tide always changes, and the light will return. As the Persian poet Rumi said, this moment of difficulty, too, shall pass. It is the pendulum of life, swinging from one extreme to the other, but always seeking to return to its center. Think of emotions as an invisible pendulum. In one moment, we feel joy and enthusiasm. In the next, we may be overcome by sadness or discouragement. Most of us try to resist this movement. When we are happy, we want to freeze the moment, but the pendulum must swing. It is propelled by the very force of the universe. The more we cling to the positive side, the more intensely it may swing to the opposite. This is the trap. The greater the enthusiasm, the greater the potential for subsequent melancholy. Conversely, when we are in negative states, we often fight against them. But just as the pendulum returns to the center, the challenging emotion will also pass. Resisting it is like trying to hold back the sea with your hands. The secret is to allow the movement to occur without fighting, without identification. Hermes Trismegistus wrote that the master is not a slave to the pendulum. He observes the motion, but is not carried away by it. Understanding this wisdom means learning to remain at the point of balance at the center of the pendulum. This is where true peace resides. When you feel a strong emotion, whether good or bad, pause. Observe the feeling as if you were a spectator. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Where is this pendulum moving? This simple practice of observation can break the cycle of automatic reaction and bring clarity. Imagine your emotions as the weather. One day, it might be sunny and warm, the next rainy and cold. You don't control the weather, but you can decide how you will respond to it. The law of rhythm teaches us not to identify with the extremes. We are not the storm, nor the shining sun. We are the unchanging sky that observes the changes. Understanding the emotional pendulum is liberating. It is accepting that nothing lasts forever, neither moments of difficulty, nor moments of ecstasy. This knowledge allows us to enjoy the highs without losing ourselves in them, and to face the lows without being destroyed. At the center of the pendulum, we find balance, and with it, true freedom. The law of rhythm cannot be stopped, but it can be understood, and with practice, mastered. First, observe the cycles in your own life. Your energy, your emotions, your creativity, they all follow patterns. Second, anticipate the movement. If you know a phase of expansion will be followed by contraction, you can prepare. A powerful tool is conscious breathing. When you feel the pendulum swinging too strongly, pause. Breathe deeply. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale slowly for 8. This simple exercise helps restore inner balance. Another practice is silence. Set aside time for meditation or simple contemplation. In this state, you connect to the rhythm of the universe without being enslaved by it. Above all, practice acceptance. Do not resist the oscillations. Accepting life's rhythm does not mean resignation. It means flowing with wisdom. The rhythm never ceases. What truly matters is how you choose to dance with it. Learn to listen to your inner cycles, the tides of your soul, and harmonize yourself with the universal flow. Ultimately, understanding and mastering the law of rhythm is the path to a profound and graceful freedom. 6. The principle of cause and effect. As we learn to navigate the rhythms of life, we begin to see a deeper order, a chain of events that is anything but random. This brings us to the 6th principle, the principle of cause and effect. It states with crystalline clarity, every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. Imagine a vast, cosmic loom where every thread is interwoven with absolute precision, creating the grand tapestry of existence. Every event, every thought, every breath is a part of this masterful design. There are no loose threads, no true accidents. Everything you have ever experienced, the unexpected encounters, the painful challenges, the moments of ecstasy, all have an origin, a cause, and every cause has its effect. What we call luck or misfortune is, in fact, the effect of invisible causes we planted in the past, sometimes in this life, sometimes in dimensions of our existence we have yet to fully remember. This law is the principle governing the universal loom. When we grasp its depth, we realize that nothing in life is arbitrary. The Hermeticists know that the most powerful causes are not born on the physical plane, but on the mental plane. As the Kybalion teaches, the mind is the field of creation, where the first seeds of every cause are planted. Our thoughts, our intentions, our emotions are causal forces, shaping not only our actions, but the very experiences we attract. Consider a word spoken in anger. It might seem like a momentary reaction, but it is the effect of a prior cause, a thought or feeling already vibrating within you. That word, in turn, generates new effects, a conflict, a rupture, or perhaps an opportunity for learning. The chain of causality continues endlessly, in all directions. What the Kybalion teaches us is that chance is simply the name we give to our ignorance of the law. When we understand this truth, a world of possibility opens. We no longer need to be spectators of life, hit by the effects of causes we do not comprehend. We can become conscious creators, planting the seeds of the future we wish to harvest. This is the promise of the law of cause and effect, the freedom to transcend the role of victim and assume the role of master. This principle is deeply connected to the concept of karma, a word from Sanskrit that means action. In a spiritual context, it refers to the totality of consequences generated by our actions, thoughts, and intentions. Every cause we create, whether consciously or not, leaves a mark on the fabric of the universe, and these marks eventually return to us as effects. The secret of karma is that it is not just about what we do, but how we do it. The same action can generate different karmic results depending on the intention behind it. Helping someone with the desire to inflate your ego creates one type of energy. Helping with genuine compassion creates another. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that action is inevitable, but the true sage acts without attachment to the fruits of their actions. Karma acts as a universal balancing system, ensuring that no cause is left without its corresponding effect. It is not a system of punishment and reward, but a pedagogical mechanism designed to teach us universal laws and guide our soul toward harmony. Karma returns to us not what we deserve, but what we need in order to grow, to recognize our mistakes, and to align our lives with higher truths. The law of cause and effect and karma do not exist to imprison us, but to liberate us. When we understand their dynamics, we cease to be victims of fate and become masters of our reality. As the magician Eliphaz Levi once said, "He who knows the law does not complain of it. Instead, he uses it for his purpose." The first step toward mastery is to take full responsibility for your life. This does not mean blaming yourself for the past, but understanding that in some way, you are the cause of everything you have experienced through thoughts, actions, or omissions. When we stop blaming the world and start looking within, we free ourselves from the role of the victim. We become aware that every choice, every thought, every action has an impact on the world and on what we receive in return. The true master is one who not only reacts to circumstances, but consciously creates new conditions. Imagine your mind is a fertile field, and every thought is a seed. Thoughts of fear, doubt, or resentment will produce bitter fruit. Thoughts of courage, love, and gratitude will yield a harvest of harmony and prosperity. The magician works on the mental plane before any other. The mind is the first motor. What we create in the mind inevitably manifests on the material plane. By mastering the mind, you master the cause, and by mastering the cause, you master the effect. Even the wisest of masters cannot escape the causes they themselves planted in the past. But instead of resisting unwanted effects, the master embraces them as precious lessons. They understand that every challenge is an opportunity to grow and align more closely with the law. The Buddha said, "What you are today is the result of your thoughts of yesterday. What you will be tomorrow is the result of your thoughts today." What distinguishes the master from the victim is not the absence of challenges, but how they face them. The master sees the effects in their life not as punishments or rewards, but as perfect reflections of their own actions and intentions. They understand that life is not happening to them, but through them. By mastering the law of cause and effect, you become free, not a freedom that escapes the lawful, that is impossible, but a freedom that arises from alignment with it. You become the conscious creator of your reality, a true alchemist who transforms every moment into an opportunity for evolution and self-mastery. As the Kybalion teaches, freedom lies in the understanding of the law. From this point, the essential question is, what seeds are we planting today? Are we creating the reality we truly desire, or are we perpetuating patterns that imprison us? The answer, now, lies in your hands. Be the master. Point 7. The principle of gender. Finally, we arrive at the principle that encompasses and unifies all the others. The principle of generation and creation itself. The principle of gender. It reveals that gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. This law transcends the common notion of biological gender. It points to a universal dynamic of polarities that permeates all creation. At its core is the understanding that everything in the universe contains two complementary principles, the masculine and the feminine. The masculine represents active, expansive, and projective energy. It is the creative impulse, the initiating will, the spark that sets movement into motion. It is like the ray of sunlight that touches the earth, without which life could not germinate. The feminine symbolizes receptive, nurturing, and generative energy. It is the fertile soil that transforms a seed into a tree. It embodies introspection, intuition, and the ability to create from within. These forces are not oppositional, but complementary, like two halves of a whole that together create universal harmony. It is crucial to understand that masculine energy is not exclusive to men, nor feminine energy to women. These are universal forces, residing within all beings, in constant interplay within each of us. In the Hermetic context, masculine energy is the active principle, movement, logic, direction, and creative force. It is the spark that transforms potential into reality. Without it, there is no action. Without action, there is no creation. When in harmony, it is like a flowing stream, moving mountains and fertilizing lands. When imbalanced, it can become a destructive tsunami, seeking to dominate, control, and rigidly impose its will. Conversely, feminine energy is the receptive, fluid, and intuitive side of all things. It manifests as feeling, delicacy, insight, compassion, patience, and deep creativity, while masculine energy acts like an arrow moving forward. Feminine energy is the space that embraces, transforms, and gives meaning to the action. In Hermeticism, Feminine energy is the passive principle, but not in the sense of inertia. Passivity here means profound receptivity, the ability to absorb, nurture, and transform. It is the mystery, the intuition, that connects us to the invisible. One of the most evident examples in nature is the lunar cycle. The moon, with its phases of growth and decline, symbolizes the fluidity and transformative power of the feminine principle. Just as the moon influences the tides, feminine energy has an invisible but profound power that governs cycles and processes of life. But just like the masculine, the feminine can become imbalanced. When in excess, we can become overwhelmed by emotions, lacking the structure to handle challenges. We may lose our boundaries, becoming unable to say no, leading to overload and a sense of victimization. When deficient, we lose connection with our creative and nurturing essence. Our intuition fades, we become rigid, and the joy of creating or nurturing disappears. The true power arises from the balance and integration of these two within us. The ancient alchemists called this union the alchemical marriage, symbolizing the fusion of the active masculine and receptive feminine principles to create a whole and awakened being. This internal marriage is the key to transforming the ordinary self into an enlightened and fulfilled version of oneself. It is not merely a metaphor, but a spiritual and psychological practice. The integration of these energies allows for a powerful, magnetic field capable of attracting and manifesting in harmony with the universe. So, how do we cultivate this balance? Through practices that honor both energies, through dance and body movement, allowing fluidity feminine and deliberate rhythm masculine, through integrating moments of introspection feminine with concrete, planned action masculine, through working with internal archetypes visualizing the king and queen, the warrior and the sage within, and asking which qualities need to be strengthened. This integration applies to every area of life. At work, use masculine energy to organize and achieve goals, but trust feminine energy for creative and intuitive solutions. In relationships, allow the masculine to lead with courage and protection, while the feminine nurtures, understands, and listens. In spirituality, seek the divine with discipline and devotion masculine, but also with surrender and trust feminine. The union of the masculine and feminine is not the meeting of two opposing forces, but the fusion of what we already are. It is the moment we cease being fragments and become the whole, when the sun and the moon within you dance in harmony. The soul blossoms. We have reached the end of this journey through the 7 Hermetic principles. Dive into the depths of the ancient wisdom that governs all existence. These principles are not merely abstract concepts, they are a practical cosmology, a lens through which to see the universe, and a set of tools for navigating reality with greater wisdom, grace, and intention. From mentalism, we learn that the universe is a mental creation, and that our consciousness is a participant in its unfolding. From correspondence, we saw that the patterns of the macrocosm are reflected in the microcosm. As above, so below, as within, so without. From vibration, we understood that nothing is static, that everything pulses with energy, and that we can attune our own frequency to resonate with the realities we wish to inhabit. From polarity, we discovered that opposites are complementary, not conflicting, and that within every challenge lies the seed of its solution. From rhythm, we accepted the natural cycles of advance and retreat, learning to dance with the pendulum of life rather than fight it. From cause and effect, we embraced our role as conscious creators, planting the seeds of tomorrow with our thoughts, intentions, and actions of today. And from gender, we recognized the creative power that arises from balancing the active and receptive forces within ourselves. Together, these principles form a master key. They reveal a universe that is not chaotic, but deeply ordered. A universe that is not indifferent, but responsive. A universe in which you are not a stranger, but a native citizen, endowed with the capacity to understand and co-create. Now, the true journey begins within you. The Hermetic principles are not teachings to be confined to words in a book or a video. They must be lived. They must be felt. They must be practiced in the quiet moments of meditation, in the choices of your daily life, in the way you meet challenge and welcome peace. The master key is now in your hands. It has always been there, awaiting the moment your consciousness decided to use it. So, carry these truths with you. Let them be a quiet lantern in the dark, a steady compass in the unknown. May the wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus guide your steps. May you perceive the mental nature of the universe, see the correspondence in all things, harmonize your vibration, reconcile the poles, flow with the rhythm, consciously sow causes, and unite the energies within, and in doing so, may you become the calm, clear, and creative master of your own reality. Thank you for listening.